and the player pool that resides in those states, and that fills in and kind of answers the questions you have about the numbers with the Power 5 conferences.
A little air under that from Fink, and didn't allow Sam Bruce, the speed demon, and the Miami verbal commit to get untracked.
Exactly.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that's where Sam Bruce excels, is out in space. If he could have put it on him and gave him a chance, he has the ability to make a defender miss. But when you have to make him go up and get the football, allows the defender to be able to rally.
And that's where these quarterbacks are going to realize. Matt Fink, all of them. And some guys we haven't seen just yet as we look at Steve Mariucci looking on. Ball placement and accuracy is the fundamental essence of the position. And when the gap narrows and that margin of error becomes so slim, ball placement is going to be huge. And you better perform in that area. And that's going to separate quarterbacks at the next level. A lot of these guys can throw, they can run, they got strong arms. Are you accurate?
Braden Mann, nifty little footwork there to get that away. And he pushes it to the 40-yard line. Talk about the top recruiting classes in the country, and maybe surprised to some people just joining in on the conversation. Ole Miss #1 behind Hugh Freeze.
Well, you watched that bowl game last night. It shouldn't be a surprise with Ole Miss, and really part of the reason why they are at #1, filling needs. 2 5-stars, one being Gregory Little. You think about how do you potentially replace the #1 tackle in 2013 class?
Right.
Talking about Laramie Tunsil. Well, do it with the #1 tackle in the 2016 class. We've seen Benito Jones be disrupted throughout this game. Defensive tackle, Robert Condici on his way out. You replace an explosive defensive tackle with another explosive defensive tackle.
And both are premium positions. That's the thing that's the key. We're not talking about linebackers, receivers, guys that are growing on trees. We're talking about that position that is separating the good from the great in college football. You look at the college football playoff teams. You look at Alabama's defensive front. Look at Clemson's defensive front. That's what's getting these teams to where they are.
And one thing to note, too, is it is far from decided. Ole Miss in the #1 class. LSU, Ohio State have also sat in that #1 spot throughout the process.
And Michigan is lingering. They're lurking there.
Yep, at #5. And
quick throw by Jack Allison, the Miami commit. And he's got an open man, A.J. Brown into space. Big play for Brown inside the 10.
Boy, A.J. Brown is a big physical specimen. And Jack Allison, the Miami verbal commitment, throws a strike here. And he kind of recoils and fires it right behind that buzzing linebacker to the flat. And then A.J. Brown, look how big and strong he is. Look at that thick lower body. Does the rest. Has the presence of mind, Craig, to switch the ball into his outside hand away from inside traffic. 6'2", 218. The state of Mississippi. Dan Mullen, Hugh Freeze will tell you, hidden gems, high-profile guys, kind of an eclectic state of great players.
Still uncommitted, A.J. Brown. Also a very strong punt returner as Allison sticks in the pocket and fires for Harry. And N'Keal Harry couldn't come up with it. Marquill Osborne, the Tennessee commit on coverage.
Well, if you're going to try to thread the ball in there like Tom, you better set your feet. You're going to see Allison here throw off his back foot. He almost got it in there, but there ain't much space in that window.
And Harry is accustomed to coming down with that football. And if you watch college football, what are you seeing every week? The 50-50 ball. Who makes plays on the contested ball in traffic, one-on-one, or the jump ball? That's what the passing game is right now in college football.
Allison incomplete. If you read the evaluation on ESPN.com, it says, hey, maybe he takes too many risks because of arm confidence. There it is.
He does have tremendous arm confidence, and he's a little late. Don't want to cock and reshuffle on an out route. That ball should already be out of his hand, and if it was, it would have been caught, and Dredrick Snelson would have been running in the end zone. He's lucky it's not going the other way.
Chauncey Gardner nearly had 6 for himself.
He's not, and you see, it's understandable with this pass rush, but he's not stepping through.
Right.
He's pulling back as he begins to throw, and it's taking a little bit off the football, and Chauncey Gardner almost had a big opportunity there.
I will say this, though. Jason, you mentioned arm talent. He does have that.
Zipped it in high for Brown and incomplete. We're talking about those evaluations. You can find them on ESPN.com. All the players in this game and then some. You guys work so hard on those throughout the year.
Well, strengths, weaknesses, areas of improvement. There are no perfect players. You know, you're talking about a 350 to 375 word report on on variables at each position, and we want to try and outline, hey, where are areas of improvement? Where are guys really solid, really strong? And you'll see that all on recruitingnation.com.
And also, if you don't necessarily agree with how we may have somebody ranked, you could see why.
Yes,
you can read
exactly
it and
right.
see where our thought process is.
Ricky Aguayo, the number 5 kicker in the country, the brother of Roberto Aguayo, is good. Coming up next, Ole Miss, LSU, Alabama, Texas A&M, all fighting for a kid from Baton Rouge. Drake Davis will make his announcement downstairs around the corner.
This is A-Screen O'Boom, and you are tuned into the station.
10-0 team highlight. We go downstairs. Matt Schick for an American Family Insurance verbal commitment. Matt.
Thank you, Jason. He is the number 10 wide receiver, number 76 overall prospect in our ESPN 300 rankings. His name is Drake Davis from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, IMG Academy. Down to 4 schools: Ole Miss, LSU, Texas A&M, and Alabama. Which hat you pulling out there?
First of all, I want to thank God. I want to thank my family. I want to thank all my friends for supporting me. And I'll be attending the boot, baby, LSU.
You decide to stay home. Quick backstory here. You gave up football in your junior year of high school to play soccer. Did not play high school football that year. What eventually brought you back to the game?
The support from my family. My new team, IMG. It was just a great process. I love football, and I love everything about it.
You love football. You also love other sports. What other sports do you plan on playing at LSU?
Basketball.
Really? You told Johnny Jones that part of the deal?
Yes, sir.
Very good. They've had some good players this year, including Ben Simmons. Got another one here in Drake Davis. Guys, LSU inching ever so much closer to that number 1 recruiting class ranking.
Thank you, Matt and Drake. That may be news to Les Miles on the basketball front, but it's big news in terms of trying to catch Ole Miss in that number 1 ranking.
That's how good of an athlete he is. He can get you, I think I'm going to play basketball too.
Or I think I'm going to play soccer, which he did as a junior. We talked about. To me, he may be one of the best blends and somewhat unknown commodities in this class of size, speed, power. He's your quintessential receiver in today's game. Tremendous upside because he hasn't played a lot of football to this point.
He scored 5 different ways this season. Could be a weapon on offense. You could hand him the football. Also dangerous in the return game as well. A big-time playmaker there headed to LSU.
Josh Hammond on the return, the number 12 wide receiver, the Florida commit, the brother of Frankie Hammond. And Team Armour gets it back. So we'll look at the class ranks now. How close is LSU with that one?
Extremely close. As I mentioned, this is a race far from over. Ole Miss led by 2 5-stars, the number 1 rated dual threat quarterback in the nation, also committed to that class. But it is really a race, and why it is even more of a race, he is from Baton Rouge area, but goes to IMG Academy in the state of Florida. In the state of Louisiana, 6 of the top 10 prospects remain uncommitted, and the Tigers do an outstanding job of keeping talent close to home. With so much still available, you got to watch out for LSU on a recruiting trail here over the last month.
There's one disappointed fella, and that's the quarterback you're talking about, Shea Patterson, the teammate in high school of Drake Davis. He was trying to get him to come play at Ole Miss with him together. And instead, he'll be a rival at LSU. So you talked about that recruiting class for the Bayou Bengals. What do you have here?
Well, look at the players at the top 2 spots. Defensive tackle. What do we become accustomed to seeing with LSU? Great players in the front, right? Arden Key a year ago as a true freshman was in this game, had a tremendous true freshman year. And that corner, whether it's been Tre'Davious White, Patrick Peterson, and then maybe most recently now Kevin Tolliver, the true freshman, that's the thing that stands out is they're one of those few programs that's going to identify and be able to lure those caliber players at those premium positions.
Added an offensive player today to this class, made a big pickup on the defensive side of the ball with their the new hire at the defensive coordinator position.
Yeah, Dave Aranda coming over from Wisconsin, just so well respected, been so successful. He's going to add a lot to that mix as Kevin Steele moves on, of course, to be the coordinator at Auburn.
Jarrett Garantano is in at quarterback, and Kareem Walker, the number 1 tailback, the Michigan commit, is on. Garantano the Tennessee verbal commit who showed his commitment during practices wearing Vols sunglasses. You know he's locked up when he's got your sunglasses.
He's been a long-time commit to the Vols and really has not minced any words about that. Excited to be a part of that Vols future. And one of the things, he is one of those players who we talked about, Allison, and his arm strength.
Yeah.
Garantano, that ball can fire off his hand. Really maybe the best arm talent of this group.
Certainly natural wrist velocity and revolutions. The ball really comes out of his hand, you see right there. But the end result needs to be accurate. And that's one area. I think there's two things. Consistent accuracy with Jarrett and the ability to change ball speeds to match the throw. Not everything's got to be 100 miles an hour. Now, Butch Jones, his staff, Mike DeBoer, the offensive coordinator, they realize they've got a special athlete and a guy that can throw it and run it, similar to what they've got with Josh Dobbs. And most importantly at Tennessee, Jarrett doesn't have to play right away. They can develop him, they can redshirt him, and bring him along at the proper pace.
Dobbs, a junior, finishing this season. The team was just here, actually, in this building. Garantano didn't get a chance to come over. He was otherwise occupied. That pass incomplete, looking for Tyree Cleveland, the Houston commit.
Now, Tyree Cleveland's got to catch that football because just as we talked about right there, that was an accurate throw.
Yeah, and that's the type of catch he's made throughout the week.
Sure.
He's a speedster. He can get downfield, outstanding length as well as to be able to go up in the football, and he is a verbal to Houston. One of two players in this game committed to the Houston Cougars. Tom Herman in that H-Town takeover, doing an outstanding job of mining talent at home.
You were just with Houston, Tom. What's that build look like in person and what they're doing to raise that program?
Well, the thing that's exciting about it is you're looking at Houston, and all four of their top receivers return, and they're very talented, and they may not have the type of talent that Tyree Cleveland brings. So that gives you an idea coming in of how that program is starting to transition as we see a team Armour punt here, narrowly blocked, barely getting away for a return.
Levante Taylor was back there, and team highlight gets it just short of midfield. Take a look at our PlayStation Greatness Awaits Next Level comparison. Gregory Little, the number one offensive tackle, and you mentioned his name, Laramie Tunsil, correct?
Yeah, and it's not just because they're both committed to Ole Miss. I think that would be a favorable comparison regardless of where Greg Little may have committed to. It's the length, the frame, similar type builds at this stage. Outstanding flexibility, can move his feet really well. I don't know about his ball skills. We'll see when he gets there. Maybe he can get out and catch a touchdown pass. But I'm sure he will want to make sure that play is somewhere in the playbook still once he gets to Oxford.
And terrific feet. He can bend. He's agile. Oh, really impressive group as a tackle.
They'll run it with B.J. Emmons across the 50. The Alabama commit for team highlight now with what Laramie Tunsil did, and then alum Christian Wilkins as well recently. Every lineman's going to want to catch the football coming out of this game.
Yeah, the big men want their chance, and I don't blame them because they are getting more and more athletic. I was talking to one of the coaches, anytime you see a TV show where they're using an offensive lineman, what do they cast? They cast a big fat guy. He doesn't look anything like offensive linemen do not look like that anymore. They look like the Gregory Littles. Length, lean, outstanding athletes for the position.
Well, I love the way that B.J. Emmons runs the football. He's full steam ahead now. There's an aggressive, rugged approach to the way he's sticking his helmet in there. You see the marks there on the side of the dome for B.J. Emmons. And right now, Team Highlight's kind of having their way. They've kind of controlled this game. Team Armour there in black for you has had some sustained drives and then can't capitalize. So far, it's been the first half of Team Highlight. Jack Allison now leading his second series of the game.
What unit do you think has had the best defensive games so far?
To me, really, it's been Team Highlight because they've been able to limit big plays.
Allison for McDoom, incomplete. You think the defensive lines have kept this low scoring?
Absolutely. They do each and every year.
And they've tried to counter that with short passes, but the secondary and the speed, they have been so quick to close, breaking some passes up when they have been able to complete it, making quick tackles.
You got to catch the football. You got 4th and 2, about 4th and 3, but you lead to that because you drop a simple 5-yard hitch route. You got to consistently catch the football. You can be as athletic as anybody on the field and run fast and jump and make people miss, but not if you don't catch the ball.
Maggio under pressure, and he runs it for the first down. How about that ad-lib from the Wake Forest verbal commit? They say he's a versatile kicker in the evaluation, but how about that?
Yeah, well, he's gonna get some pressure, and Coach Mooch